gentlemen, please welcome Senior Vice President, Automotive Operations, Toyota Motor Sales, Bob Carter.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. This year is one of those weird global goof-ups when two major auto shows are timed on top of each other. This year, both LA and Tokyo are opening this week. I mean, you would think that we would talk about these things, right? But happily, judging from the news buzz and the turnout from yesterday and today, the Los Angeles Auto Show is off to a really good start. In fact, our all-new Highlander hybrid SUV makes its very first public showing here today. So please check it out in the back of our stage when you depart. The big news at Tokyo for us, of course, was the debut yesterday of our hydrogen fuel cell vehicle that we will be bringing to market here in the US in 2015. Now, our fuel cell is a mid-size four-door sedan with a 300-mile range that is refueled in just 3 minutes and emits just water vapor. It's something that's very special. And the first chance that you'll get to see this vehicle will be live and on stage with me. Will be at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Now, it seems like I've performed so many times in Las Vegas, my wife wants to buy a condo there. But on January 6th, you can catch my act for one night only at the Mandalay Bay Hotel. And that's when I'm going to try out some all-new material, share a few behind-the-scenes stories about our fuel cell, tell you a couple of jokes, and offer you some preliminary market preparation plans. And I promise you, I'm way more entertaining when I'm in Vegas. So I hope to see everyone there. Now, as committed as we are to environmental concerns, we at Toyota are even more concerned about highway safety. And it all starts with education. For example, teen drivers are 4 times more likely than other drivers to be involved in a crash. Toyota has made a major commitment to teen driving safety over many years. Over the last decade, we've reached out to thousands of teens, parents, and educators through the Toyota Driving Expectations, Toyota Teen Driver, and other programs. Now this week we launched Teen Drive 365, and that's our new initiative that will help families navigate the first year a teen gets their license, which we all know that first year the teens get their license is the most dangerous year of their lives. When you get a chance, please check out the Teen Drive 365 website, where we've gathered online tools to help parents and teens talk about safe driving. And then check out the Teen Drive 365 simulator that we have over here in our display to get a hands-on feel for the dangers of driver distraction. Now, education, of course, is just one part of our safety story. An important commitment by Toyota over the last 2 years has been our collaborative safety research and sharing that knowledge openly, which is why we're here today. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the director of Toyota's Collaborative Safety Research Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Mr. Chuck Gulash. Chuck?
Thanks, Bob. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who are not familiar with the Collaborative Safety Research Center, it's a unique research model developed by Toyota that includes 26 projects with 16 universities and research hospitals in North America. At the CSRC, we're focused on how to better protect people in crashes and how we can help prevent collisions from happening in the first place. We also believe the importance of openly sharing our findings as widely as possible. Ultimately, everyone has a stake in highway safety regardless of the nameplate on their vehicle. Today, I'll discuss 3 projects, 2 that are specific to CSRC, the other a project between Toyota Motor Sales and Microsoft. The threads that run through all these projects are 3 important research ideas at the forefront of how we as an industry are trying to reduce highway injuries and fatalities. Last week, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announced that about 1 in 10 fatal crashes in 2012 was driver distraction affected. There's still much to be learned in this area. The first important research idea that we and others are pursuing is that instead of talking only about driver distraction, it may also be meaningful to talk about driver awareness. Driver distraction can be visual, it can be manual, and it can be cognitive. What's important is eyes on the road, hands on the wheel, and brain engaged and aware. These three elements are always at some level interrelated, even though they're often talked about separately. The question is, how do we stay properly stimulated and relaxed to be sufficiently aware while driving? The second important research idea is that cars are an interaction of multiple screens, informing the driver of her environment inside and outside of the vehicle. Initially, there was the windscreen and rear window and the rear and side view mirrors. We now have multiple gauge clusters, large information screens, and heads-up displays, all feeding us information and competing for our attention. As our staging here today suggests, we're all becoming screen junkies. For many of us, our lives are one big multitask. While sitting at the kitchen table having that first cup of coffee in the morning, we talk on the phone, while we're texting, while we're downloading a video of a dog eating peanut butter. Problem is, we don't want to stop when we get into our cars to go to work. For the last 100 years, the car has played the role of a functional tool, dutifully responding to our human needs and input. That relationship has changed forever. Not only can cars see things and react quicker than humans, they're becoming intelligent. In fact, we now find ourselves at a point where perhaps the most important focus of all, and this is my third important research idea, may be on what is often called the driver-vehicle interface. In truth, it should more aptly be called the driver-vehicle relationship. People relate to electronic devices socially. They build real bonds with them. And like any human-to-human connection, they have an emotional effect on people. We are now capable of creating a true interrelationship between the driver and an intelligent vehicle, and it will have profound effect on saving lives on the highway. Today, I want you to start thinking of the car and the driver as teammates, sharing the common goal of saving lives. As teammates, they have individual roles. Each must rely on the other to perform consistently and accurately. The best teammates learn from each other. They watch, listen, and remember. They adapt, they communicate, and they assist when needed. Over time, a foundation of trust is built. You can't trust what you don't know. And as trust is built, more tasks can be shared, recognized, or reassigned. Together, teammates are building a common situational awareness of their driving environment. So, driver awareness, screens, and driver and vehicle as teammates. Let me demonstrate. A little more than a year ago, Toyota and Microsoft got together to explore a simple proposition. What if we could begin a conversation between the driver and the vehicle before the driver starts driving? What if the car could recognize the driver and begin a conversation on the window screen as he approached? For example, if the driver walks up on a weekday afternoon, the car could ask if the destination was first daycare and then home. The driver, using hand gestures, voice, or a key fob, responds. The car then proceeds to alert him of a traffic jam along the way, offer an alternative route, inform him it is low on fuel, and pinpoint on a map the closest gas station. By addressing these tasks, distractions, if you will, before the car is set into motion, the driver is given more mental bandwidth and potentially a higher level of awareness to the task of driving safely. It also accomplishes something else. The car is showing that it wants you, the driver, to be safe. It recognizes you, it remembers you, and your priorities. This is the kind of trust that will be needed to allow higher and higher levels of driver assist technology as we move closer to forms of fully automated driving. The Toyota Driver Awareness Research Vehicle was developed to do just that. DARVI presents what is essentially another highly useful screen, dedicated to the all-important pre-launch or preparation portion of driving a car. Integrating Microsoft Kinect technology and rear projection, the system can be programmed to recognize more than one individual. For example, as parent and child approach the vehicle, DARVI can initiate a game with the child to see how quickly seatbelts can be buckled. Conceivably, the side window could also be used while parked for entertainment, watching the pregame show at a side gate party at the stadium parking lot. This first step of the DARVI project explores the vehicle-driver relationship on the outside. Next steps will move inside the vehicle. By recognizing who is on board and where, tasks could be shared among the passengers. In motion, the driver might be locked out of specific tasks, like operating the navigation system, whereas a teammate in the front passenger seat will not. The DARVI vehicle clearly demonstrates how people can relate to electronic devices socially. When the device works well, it builds trust and is used more often with predictably more effective results. This notion is the focus of a recently completed study between the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Age Lab and CSRC. Until now, research on how voice commands impact driver attention have been limited. This study was meant to expand our understanding of the human factors of voice command, while compiling data that could fill in research gaps to support the development of NHTSA's Phase 3 distraction guidelines. This research project is not an evaluation of current technology. Rather, it is meant to research how drivers interact with these systems to develop continuous improvements. The MIT Age Lab study investigated how or whether the cognitive demands imposed by voice command impacted a driver's focus on the road ahead. Researchers concluded that cognitive demands were actually lower than expected. They believe this is due in part because drivers often compensated by slowing down, changing lanes less often, or increasing the distance to vehicles ahead. However, in some voice interactions, the number of drivers taking their eyes off the road to perform voice command tasks was higher than expected. The study found that this situation is often more pronounced among older drivers, some of whom turned their bodies toward the voice command's graphical interface. Finally, the study showed that the issue of driver attention will require considerable further research. Why are these findings significant? We humans are so hardwired for voice that the use of voice by the driver and by the car increases social response. And this creates expectations for the driver. Drivers will put effort into working with a system they think is a teammate. They will use words that the vehicle understands, especially when they feel that it is trying to understand them. But if the system does not provide a good experience, trust could be reduced. This idea of building trust by sharing tasks is being taken to a new level with a collaborative project between CSRC and Stanford University, led by Clifford Nass. Cliff was the first person I ever heard talking about driving as a collection of screens. As some of you may know, Cliff passed away on November 2nd, and he was planning to be here with us at this event. He was a friend, a colleague, and a pioneer in the study of how humans interact with machines, especially in the effects of multiple screens and multitasking. He contributed greatly to our knowledge of human factors. His work will continue, but he'll be greatly missed. The premise of the Stanford study is that as we move closer to automated forms of driving, we must understand how the car and the driver interact, how they hand off control of the vehicle back and forth in critical situations. This is accomplished with Stanford's innovative and unique driving simulator. The system combines EEG sensors to track brain activity, skin sensors to measure emotional arousal, and eye-tracking headgear to follow directional glances. The system can determine what's happening inside the car and what's happening outside the car. With what's happening with the driver's brain and behavior. The simulator can shift from fully automated control to driver in full control to mixed control instantly. The driver's focus and level of attention are measured, including emotional state and reaction time in a variety of scenarios. For example, how does the driver respond to a sudden "take over now" alert compared to a "take over now" that says why, compared to a suggestion of taking over within a specific time frame? After driving for a prolonged period in a fully automated mode, how are a driver's abilities affected? Are reaction times and situational awareness diminished? Should the mode of communication from the car to the driver be voice, auditory, visual, or haptic, or a combination? These are questions that need to be answered, not only to help build a product, but also to build a foundation of understanding and guidelines for how we proceed with further research into the human factors of automated vehicles. For CSRC, it's an important project and fascinating as well. We'll keep you posted on the findings. I will end today with a short announcement about a fourth project that's really a lot of fun. But before that, I've covered a lot of ground, it's a lot to absorb, and there's a lot of good stuff that I was unable to touch on. On the screen behind me are the websites to go to for more information. Also, with us today are Bruce Mailer from MIT, stand up Bruce, and our CSRC Human Factors researchers, Jim Foley and Kazu Abbey. We will be around after the press conference for more discussion. Finally, the Toyota Teen Video Challenge invites teens from across the country to create a short video to encourage their friends to make safer decisions behind the wheel for a chance to win a $15,000 scholarship. This year's winning 30-second video was made by Ryan Johnston and was reshot by a Discovery Channel film crew and will air on Discovery networks nationwide. Here it is.
Hello? Automobile? Why would I be on the phone in an automobile? Dude! Bro, look how hot she is though.
Just because it's easier now doesn't mean it's safer. Learn about safe driving at toyotateendriver.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the creator of the winning entry for 2013, Mr. Ryan Johnston. Ryan, congratulations on your win, and thank you for helping us spread the word among teens about the importance of safe driving. Thank you all for joining us today, and please remember, let's go places safely.